I have a list that updates a second list in Excel. So based on the first option that I choose, the second list expands. So let's say I'm going to cold beverage, so I'm going to have items related to cold beverage. However, if I choose a different list, such as light meals, now the options are going to match light meals because it was the list, the main one that I selected. So let's see how can we create this dependent drop-down list in Excel step by step from scratch. To create a dependent drop-down list in Excel, we first need to set up our lists. So here I have 5 different lists, and something that is very important, okay, is to use as the first row of our list the name of the list itself, and underneath that we can have the items. So let's say here coffee and espresso. This is the name of my list, and I need to do that, okay? And underneath this, I can have the items that make up my list. Okay, so I did that for all the lists that I have. Now another step that is very important is I cannot use special characters such as ampersand and a space to separate the words. However, this step right here only applies to the headers. So let me change, instead of use light meals, I'm gonna use light underscore meals, because as I said, I cannot use a space to separate the words in the header. I need to use a underscore. Another thing is I cannot use special characters such as ampersand. So I'm going to switch to another thing, let's say. So coffee and espresso, that's it, underscore. I'm going to do the same thing for the third list and also for the last one. So underscore and instead of ampersand, and then underscore again. The next step now is to transform the list into a table in Excel. This step is important in my opinion because a table has many benefits, such as currently we have as the range of the first list cell B2, or starting with the items, B3 to B6. However, if we add more items, the list is not going to expand automatically the range. However, the table does. So if we have a table in Excel, whenever we have more items, the table expands automatically with the new data. And this is very important. This is a handy functionality. So let me select the first list, go to Insert and then Table. Make sure you mark this option, My Table Has Headers, okay? Another very important step is, now that we have a table, we can go all the way here to Table Design, and all the way to the left, instead of use Table 1 as the name, we can match the name of the table with the name of the header. So let me copy the name of the header with Ctrl+C, and then go to this formula bar here, the table bar, and then Ctrl+V to paste, and then hit enter. Now the name of the table is matching the name of the header. And this is what I need to do to all the tables or to all the lists that I need to select. Insert, Table, My Table Has Headers, okay. Click on the header, copy and paste as the name of the table, enter. Once you set up all the tables, you can go to any table and choose within the table design whichever the color that you prefer. So this is another benefit to use a table in Excel instead of just a standard data set, let's say. Okay, so that's it. I have all the different tables that I want to use. And another step that is very handy to do is, instead of to separate the lists with a blank column, skip a column, we can click on this column and then right click, delete, just to make sure we can couple together all those lists. But why is that? Because the header that I have to all those different tables are actually my main list, my main category. So I can use now all those cells as the range to my main category. And based on this main category, I can expand to the items. So let's say I choose cold beverages between this range right here. So Excel know that I need to use this table right here. So it's much easier. Now let me go back to the sales sheet and I want to set up the type that is going to be, as I said, the first row, the header of all those tables. So I can select this entire type as all those cells that make up the type, and then I can go to data and then data validation. Instead of use allow any value, I want to use a list. And as the source, I can go to this up arrow, go back to sheet 1 where we have the lists, and select this range right here. So let me click, hold, and drag to select everything. Down arrow, and then OK. That's it. Now if I click on the type, it's going to expand and show me all the options that I have. So let's say cold beverage, and by the way, let me click in between B and C, click, hold, and drag to the right, just to increase the width of this column. Okay, so if I choose cold beverage, I want to see the items that make up this category. And to do that, let me select all the items, the cells underneath, and then I can go to data, data validation, and instead of use allow any value, we're going to use a list. However, guys, instead of select manually the list that make up cold beverages, because the type can change, so I need to make it dynamic. If I change cold beverage to coffee, for example, I need to have the items of coffee. So what I can do is, within the source, I can use =, indirect function. This is a function that is going to help me with this dynamic list. Open parentheses, and then I need to reference the cell where I have the type. And in this, do not click, okay? In this case, I'm going to reference cell B5, B5. So this is what I'm going to input right here, B5, close parentheses, and then okay. That's it. If I click over this cell right now, it's going to expand into the items. I have now a category and a subcategory. So let's say I want to choose light meals. The items are going to be about light meals. And if I choose pastries, snacks, the items are going to be about pastries and snacks. So this is how we can create a dependent drop-down list in Excel. And as I said before, because we are using a table, if you add here a new item, so let's say within coffee, I want to add item 1, 2, 3. If I go back to the sales and input here a new type that is going to be coffee, the item 1, 2, 3 is going to automatically appear here for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or any suggestions to the next videos, let me know, comment down below, and I see you in the next one.